War and Christianity. One of the arguments I often hear from people is the two tenets of Christianity is to love your neighbor as yourself and to love and obey your God. Another element in Christianity is called thou shalt not kill. Now I want to address war and Christianity here. How can Christians go to war? And that all comes down to some basic questions. First off, the commandment was not thou shalt not kill. The commandment was thou shalt not commit murder. Murder is defined as non-government supported killing. In other words, if you go against the law and kill somebody without government sanction, you are a murderer. Now, the other argument is love your neighbor. Well, the anti-war crowd, or the crowd that likes to target the Christians in this argument, is say, how can a Christian love your neighbor and go off and fight them and kill them on the battlefield? Well, the question comes down to the word love. How do you love somebody? If you take the argument that to love somebody means you never cause them any kind of physical harm or discomfort, to love somebody means you never get in the way of anything they want to do, then you're absolutely right. Christians should never go to war. But if you take the argument that loving somebody means looking out for them, it means stopping people from hurting them, it means preventing bad people from doing bad things, it means making sure they do the right thing, or showing them how to do the right thing, or telling them what the right thing is, then loving your neighbor takes on a much more dynamic and more aggressive position. The question I respond with is, if you saw a person whom you could only save by killing the attacker, but you saw a person who was attacking somebody, a victim, somebody being attacked, and the only method of saving them was to kill the attacker, would you kill the attacker? Or would you love your neighbor by allowing this attacker to destroy both his life and the life of the person he's beating up or going to kill by letting him kill this person? You know? Because his life's going to be destroyed anyway. The guy who's doing this, his life is going to be destroyed anyway, the guy attacking the victim. Do you allow them both to die, basically? Or do you intercede? Do you stop them? The nature of war for most Christians is along those lines. That's why war has to be justified, as you're fighting against somebody who's doing something really bad that you have to stop. The idea that Christians have to be total pacifists, and I understand a lot, there's Christian churches that are like that. They're called the peace churches. They argue that Christ said, no, people should never get in conflict with each other, never hurt each other. We're all about just love and love, love, love. The problem is they ignore parts of the Bible. The Old Testament is quite clear that God commanded his people to go to war. In fact, he commanded them to do things that, I'll be honest with you, today some people might actually think of being war crimes. Now, I don't know God's reasoning behind it. As a Christian, I accept his reasoning and his commandments there. Christ talked about people's lives in the context of interpersonal relationships. He really did not get into issues of what government should do. He got into issues what you should do with each other. That's what seemed to be the focus of his attention. The attention really wasn't on what one government should do to another government. And war is inherently a government versus government thing. There's caveats to that, but I'm not going to get into that. So long and the short of it is, how do you love your neighbor? If you know of a government that's doing doing crimes against its people, genocide and whatnot, and you choose not to go to war because war is against God's wishes, are you really loving your neighbor? You're letting your neighbor, these people in that country, suffer an oppressive government that's killing innocent people. So when you go in to stop them, they send their forces to stop you. Their forces consist of those who do it because they want to do it, and it's because it's their job. If someone surrenders on the other side, you show them mercy. You take them in, you protect them, etc., because they have decided not to fight you anymore. They are no longer going to participate in the activities that you wanted to stop, or with the government that you're trying to remove. Those are Christian ways of going to war. Anyways, that's my argument against the people who say Christians can't be for war because Christ said love your neighbor and thou shalt not kill, which is actually thou shalt not commit murder. And soldiers don't commit murder. They don't. Murder is unsanctioned killing. The government tells you you're going to war, they are sanctioning this killing. That's what the definition of war is. That's the definition of the death penalty, government sanctioned killing. Anyways, there you have it, my argument against that position. Have yourself a good day, and God bless.